What? No, I'm sharing my screen. This is the tutorial for the caricature Photoshop. This is a ton of fun. You guys will enjoy it. It is about selection. It's also about playing with the liquefy filter. I wish that would quit popping up in the corner, but you know, what are you going to do? And you have a lot of fun with it. So, source material needed. You need a picture of yourself, a closer picture of yourself that also includes some of your clothing, i.e., your shoulders. Okay. You don't want too much of your body in this. I would keep it basically chest and up. If you notice, I shot my photo in front of the whiteboard. If you would like to do that in class, I would highly suggest it. It does make it a lot easier if you have a plain background to do the selection steps that I'm talking about. But you know, work with what you got. But I would really suggest if you can shoot this in front of a blank background. You are more than welcome to use the whiteboard at the front of the room. So let's talk about steps. There's going to be two main things we're going to be doing. We're going to be making a caricature out of ourselves in Photoshop, and then we're going to be pasting that caricature into a relevant background about our interest. So first things first, get your photo, put it in Photoshop. As you can see here, I took one of my grizzled old visage today to use for this example. First thing you need to do that we need to do is we want to go on ahead and get rid of our background. Okay. So we're going to go over here to our tools. We're going to go down here to the selection tool. The default may be the object selection tool. You can use that. It takes a long time. The computers tend to chew on it for a bit. So I like the quick selection tool, especially if you have a plain background. Okay. So what we're going to do is you're going to right click, go down to quick selection tool, right? And you're just going to click on the negative space around you. Okay. So if you see, very easy right now, boom, brought it up. Okay. I am going to now go up to select and mask. If that option is not on your toolbar at the top, you can go to select and go down to select and mask as well. That's going to bring up this dialog box. Okay. You can double click, or not double click, but make sure under view mode it's on real-time refinement. That will help. On the left, you have your different tools. Top is quick selection tool, refine edge brush, brush, etc., etc. You want to use the refine edge brush tool. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to use your bracket keys on your keyboard. Those are the things that look like two square brackets. Okay. You're going to make it just a little bit larger than your edge, and you're just going to real quick go over the edge of your area. Now, I realize I'm wearing a hat here, so that makes it a little easier. But if you have hair, just go in, kind of go over it just a little bit. You'll be able to see the hair on my sideburns when you get done with this. You're going to go and you're just going to run it real quick over all the edges of your photo. Remember where you started over here. Get some of my wild eyebrow there. I'm going to go over the edge of my face. Okay, if you keep it small, it should keep your selection really nice and tight. Okay, so I've done that. I'm going to move this so I can hit OK. Okay, there we go.
At this time, teachers, you have been dismissed to go work remotely for the rest of the day at home. In correspondence with the voting of the elections today, Cliff Jones and Superintendent Moody have made the decision that all teachers may leave and work from home for the rest of the day. Our leadership cohort for this afternoon will be rearranged.
So here's the deal.
You are still expected to.
I'm going to, now that this selection has been made, I'm going to hit delete. I'm going to make my contents white. Okay. And I'm going to I'm going to make my contents white. Okay. Now, the next part of this is I'm going to leave the selection up. I'm going to hit Command Shift I to invert it. Okay. And the next thing that I need to do is go to my quick mask right over here. If you do that, you'll see that my face is now selected. My whole body and face is selected. I'm going to double click. If that's not the case and everything around you is selected, I can help you with that. You can just double click on quick mask. It should say selected areas. Okay. So I'm just going to hit cancel. Right. So you see that here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, make sure that my black and white square here, the white is on top. I'm going to go up to my brush tool, okay? And I'm going to unselect everything uh, on my face, okay? So if you have the white in front, it should just erase from what you what you have selected, okay? So when you're doing this, you might want to check your hardness. Keep your hardness of your brush around 72, 65, that sort of hardness, okay? And basically, you're just unselecting all of your head area here, and you're gonna leave the rest of you, your head and your shoulders and whatever else is not your head and neck in that photo underneath. Okie doke. Now, if you see here, I got a little bit of my shirt. I can zoom in. I can switch this back so black is in the front. Okay, and I can make my brush a lot smaller, and I can kind of come back and catch that edge. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that just my shirt is selected. All right, so I'm going to go off of Quick Mask. I'm going to click off it. You can see that it's now selected. Okay, I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to hit Command C. Then I'm going to delete it. I'm going to make my contents white. All right. I'm going to Command D to deselect, and I'm going to hit Command V to paste it. So what that did was we eliminated it from the original layer, and now we have a new layer with just the shoulder area, okay, that is above it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to transform this area to be a lot smaller, okay? So I'm going to make this shoulders area a lot smaller, because that's the thing with caricatures. You always have a tiny body and a big head. So I'm going to make it about this much smaller. All right, I'm going to hit enter and make sure that that is transformed. Okay, I can now go back to my background layer. Do you see how there was a little bit of excess stuff left over here? I'm just going to go on ahead and delete that. Now comes the fun part. Now we can go to the background layer and we can go up to filter and go to liquify. Now liquify is a lot of fun to play with as far as a filter goes. You're mainly going to be concerned with the forward warp tool, the pucker tool, and the bloat tool. So the forward warp tool, what that does is it stretches things. So I'm going to make my nose a little bigger, okay, because that's usually what you do in a caricature, right? As you make your nose a little bit bigger. All right, see how that's bringing out my cheek as well? That's totally fine. I can actually bring out the rest of my face by pulling it out a little bit that way. Okay, I'm going to pull my chin out because normally chins are very emphasized in caricature. So I'm going to make my chin really big. Okay, generally you make um, the side of the face kind of more eggplanty. So I'm going to pull that in. Ooh, that's a little bit too much. And then I'm going to pull usually the top of the head gets a lot bigger in these things. So I'm just going to pull that up. I'm using multiple strokes to do that. I can go bigger even and just pull the whole daggum thing up, right? Like that. Okay. So now I have kind of a big head and as soon as I finish recording. Okay. So I kind of have a big bulbous head now. I'm going to pull that out a little bit too. Okay. So now I can start using the pucker and bloat tool. If I wanted to make my eyes really small, right, I can use that pucker tool and it'll make them really small. Yeah, that's kind of caricaturing. I can use the bloat tool, right? Use the bracket keys to make your cursor bigger or smaller. I'm going to make my eyes a little bigger. I think that kind of works. Now that messed up my nose here a little bit, so I'm just going to go in and adjust that a little bit. All right, maybe bring out my cheeks just a little bit more. Okay. Then the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure to make my neck narrower. So I'm gonna make my brush size here really big, right? I'm gonna pull it down a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna hit OK. Woo! So now comes the easier part, which is I'm just gonna take this layer right here with my shirt and all that. Okay, I'm gonna line it up maybe a little bit better. So it's a little more centered on the neck. I'm gonna pull back the opacity to 48%. I'm gonna zoom in here and I'm basically going to use my eraser tool right here to erase any of the overlapping areas with my shirt area here. Okay. That's pretty good. I'm going to zoom out. If I bring my opacity back up, boom, now I have the small body, right? Now I can move this up a little bit, right? So it overlaps a little more. That's pretty good. Okay. So now I have more of a caricature of myself and um and a little body. Okay. This is about having fun playing. So make your features however you want to make them. Right. So now I need to find a background. So I love skating. And that's a cap that I use when I skate a lot. So I looked up skate park, right? I went to images, I went to tools, and I went down to large. I found this guy. I'm going to right click on it, open image in new tab, right? Nice and big. Right click on that, copy image. Okay. I'm going to go back to Photoshop. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go to File, New. I'm going to hit Create. It should automatically make the right size. I'm going to paste that in. Okay. Then I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to flatten my image so I have all of it together. I'm going to use my quick selection tool to select all the white surrounding. Okay. I'm going to then go to select a mask again, like we did before, because I want my selection to be good. I'm going to go over the edge one more time, just to be sure I get a good selection, that it doesn't look all choppy and everything else. Okay. And go over that right there, over my eyes. Okay. Just make sure I get all of it. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit Command Shift I so that I'm just selecting what I want to paste. I'm going to copy, Command C, going to paste. Now you might notice that's going to be a lot bigger. So you're going to need to use these, right, to bring it down to a good size that will fit in your photo. Basically, I'm just going to put it right there. Well, maybe I'll put it here in the center, kind of bring it up so it feels good. Okay. I'm going to hit enter. Now I have a caricature on a background. All right, it's pretty good. Now, the last thing that I can do, if you notice, I crop this really close. You can totally go in now on that second layer if you want to and use your clone stamp tool, right? Bring it down, hold down Option to get a little target, click. You guys have gone over this before. Make sure that your hardness is probably around 80%. So click, and you can literally draw in by sampling your wee shoulders if you want, if you don't want it to look quite so abrupt with the cutoff of your shoulders there. There you go. And that's it. You go to layer, flatten that bad boy, save it as JPEG, and upload that to your OneDrive folder. The key with this is experiment, have fun, play with different ways of doing your face. You can always Command Z to get back out of any edit you do. It's a lot of fun to play with. So thank you. Enjoy. Title it correctly.